Welcome to Glory Kickboxing. I'm Bazooka Joe Valtellini, here to break down the main event at Glory 87, which happens Saturday, August 19th at the Rotterdam Ahoy in the Netherlands. In the main event, we have the lightweight title on the line as Holland's Tyjani Beztati takes on Japan's Kaito Ono in a very exciting and technical matchup. We last saw Tyjani Beztati beat one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Tyjani, who went up in weight to try to get that double strap. But Tyjani was just too long and too powerful and was able to reign dominant and keep defending his world title. We have Japan's Kaito Ono, who had a great win, a controversial one, against Stoyan Koprivlinski at Glory Rivals 4 in Japan. And I know he's excited for this opportunity to take on Tyjani Beztati. So hopefully with this breakdown, I'm going to show you why these gentlemen are so exciting and so technical to watch. One of the main things you see from the champ Tyjani Beztati right off the bat is how tall he is and how he uses his range so effectively. And you can see this here against Josh Johnsey, who's very well known as a technical kickboxer who can box well, kick well, and just mix everything together. But Tyjani Beztati has really improved his boxing since we have seen him. He was one of Glory's youngest signings, and the way he came into Glory, such a young man, and now he's developing into this nasty, aggressive power style fighter. Not only has Tyjani been so dominant winning his fights, he's going for the finishes, and he does it with such good detail. He's been good with his boxing, but you see here the way he mixes up his kicks is fantastic. And once he smells blood, he's coming right after you. And if you take a look at the subtleties of his defense, he's sharp, he uses his eyes well, and his counter fighting just continues to get better. And watch the details of his footwork. When he's attacking you and he's blasting you here, as he's showing against Josh Johnsey, he's constantly changing the angles of his punches. It's never straight punches, it's uppercuts, off angles, overhands. As he's throwing these off angle punches, he's moving his feet, creating angles with his footwork as well with his punches. And this is why, if you're ever shelled up against Tyjani, he's here, he's hitting up the middle. It's an uppercut, it's an overhand. He's mixing his knees up the middle. You think you're safe, head kicks come, and then he gets those big counter punches, because eventually you have to open up from that shell, and then all of a sudden he's there to counter you right away. Then we saw him here. This is the last one I was talking about, as Tyjani went up to try to challenge for the lightweight strap. But Tyjani Beztati, not only we know him good for his boxing, which we thought was going to be the biggest weapon in this fight, he was able to use his kicks, that front kick to the body. He knows how to use his reach well, and this is why he's fantastic to watch. A lot of tall fighters don't know how to use it, but Tyjani's jab is long. He sets you up. When he throws his hands, he uses his eyes, his distance management better than everything. And then when he mixes his kicks, that's where the real magic happens. And you can see this fight here. This has got to be one of the most technical fights we've seen in Glory, because we see Stoyan Koprivlinski, who's also signed with Glory as a young gentleman, now growing into a big power style fighter. This fight here was just back and forth technical, and Tyjani really had to use his full arsenal of kickboxing, where he was able to use his boxing, kicks, and knees, and this is why he's so dangerous. We see his hands being the big weapon, but if you've seen all of his fights in Glory, it's the way he mixes those knees up the middle. His round kicks, his head kicks are just nasty. And here we have Kaito Ono, who I think his best strategy is going to be good counter fighter, good defense. And they both have that common opponent in Stoyan Koprivlinski, who's dangerous with his long punches and his kicks. But Kaito Ono's style, if he wants to beat Tyjani, he's going to have to stay technical, which, I mean, is going to be very hard, because we've seen how aggressive Tyjani can get. But you see here with Kaito Ono's style, he'll come at you with a high guard and look for a nice right kick counter. And one sneaky thing that he does is he throws that calf kick really well. And him being the shorter fighter against Beztati, I think this calf kick is going to be one of the best weapons for him. He needs to distract with the hands and keep chopping away at the legs. There is a problem with that, because as you attack the leg, Tyjani's long straight punches could be the big difference. But for me, right from that first round, Ono needs to come in, chop away with those kicks, and keep that pressure going. And it's going to be a challenge, but if he stays shelled up against Tyjani, that boxing, the angles of his footwork and his strike is going to give him a hard time. The biggest keys for Kaito Ono is he's going to have to use his counter fighting. As he comes in, he's got a nice short right hand, good counter left hooks like we just saw, and continually mix that calf kick. If he's just going to sit shelled up, it's going to be a long night for him. Look to counter, look to attack those calves, do not let Tyjani gain momentum, all right? So, Tyjani Beztati taking on Kaito Ono, a very exciting and technical matchup.